Everyone. Welcome to the October 2025 webinar. Going to be speaking with you about what you need before taking a campaign live, before running an investor marketing initiative. We like to say, don't hit launch until you've checked these boxes. Joined here by our head of business development, Jazz Parker, speaks with founders, speaks with CEOs on a daily basis, has worked on some of the top Reg CF campaigns this year. Jazz, you're going to be giving us the insights today. Familiarize the audience a bit. Who are you?
One, I want to just say I'm glad to be back. This is my third webinar so far, and every time I get more and more comfortable with just talking to people and telling them what I see. But my name is Jazz, as Jason mentioned. Been with the team for over a year now, which is like crazy to say. And so I'm excited. I make a lot of content, talk a lot about this stuff. Jason and I argue about baseball on an occasion, so I wore my Dodgers hat to make him happy. But
Thank you for
we
that.
are here, and I am excited.
And, we do these webinars monthly. Brendan, our creative director, presents, puts together one of these decks every month for us. So just pulling up the slides here. I'm going to go into some of our findings, some of our case studies for anyone who it's their first time tuning into one of our webinars. We are DNA, have worked on over 500 investor marketing campaigns that have collectively produced 9 figures of capital through content marketing, advertising, and outreach channels. Showcase the results on my podcast, Test Optimize Scale, episode 216 just came out yesterday. Definitely recommend checking that out. Spoke at the Crowdfund Professional Association Summit last week in Washington, D.C. Had members of the SEC, FINRA, some of the top marketing agencies, law firms, CPA firms, all there. That's what's behind these best practices, what we're going to be going through. This isn't just, Jazz and I brainstorming on a whiteboard, as much as our team in conference rooms, on digital calls, determining the strategies for these issuers, seeing success. And what I would tell you, what I would start the conversation with is, without proper preparation, your campaign will fall on deaf ears. It's not a matter of, hey, I built an offering page, my pitch deck's online, there's billions of people online on a daily basis. We're going to raise $5 million on a Reg CF campaign in 2 months. Statistically, that's not going to happen. And we could talk about why campaigns fizzle. Just pointing at the stats real quick. 2024, 7% of issuers raised $5 million, raised $1 million or more. Less than 5 of the 1,408 Reg CF campaigns raised 4.8, let alone $5 million. So those are campaigns that put a plan together. Those are campaigns that put together a strong offering page, determined, hey, where am I going to get my traffic from? How am I going to get upwards of 250,000 visits or more to that offering page to raise $5 million? Jazz, is that consistent with what you hear when speaking to a founder that's going to go down this road of, hey, I have these big lofty goals. I don't really have much prepared. Maybe we'll launch some ads once we're live. We want to see what happens first.
Yeah, 100%. And I think the scary part, I was thinking about this last night. I'm not gonna say I was dreaming about it, but I was thinking about this last night, where I find that with equity crowdfunding and kind of like a lot of things, the bar to entry can seem low, but man, when we talk about success rates, when we talk about like actually moving the needle, some of the hardest stuff that you have to do. I mean, you could file a Form C, you could build out an offering page, you could start posting, maybe just starting to go to different events and getting a campaign live. But the overarching question is, how do we go from like, hey, below, or excuse me, that median level or that easy level of, hey, getting it going to like actually being successful, getting to the $1 million, the $2 million. And for some companies, it is the full five. For regulation A pluses, I mean, we've worked on some pretty cool ones. So it's like, how do we go from, hey, filing a Form C to actually raising capital. So I 100% agree. I think it's a journey.
100% a journey. And I would rather scare issuers away than see them fall in the 50%, the median of issuers that raised $114,000 or less last year.
Yeah.
Why do some of these campaigns fizzle? What would that mean? Uh, no built-in crowd. Really got to build it early. Some groups come to us and they say, hey, we have 100,000 followers or people in our email list. We have these influencers that are going to be posting to their millions of followers, backers, viewers of
Mhm.
their content. Launch at zero, outsiders stay away. If you have $8,000 raised on your campaign, if you have 108,000, you're anticipating different results than if you have 208, 508, 1,008,000. So really want to bring enough people there week one so that as you're driving cold audiences to your funnel, to your deal, there's some validation. They're able to
Yeah.
say, hey, these people put their hard-earned money, their funds into the deal, even if it's, minimum level investments that stack to hit those amounts. Even more so, I'd argue, hey, 200,000 people at a $200 investment, 100 people at a $2,000 average investment, probably more likely says something,
Yeah.
and in a loud way and different than if there's zero. So be sure to secure early commitments in those early stages of the campaign and or during a test the waters phase where you could take reservations. Unrealistic goals, valuations also turn investors off. So you're setting it up for failure if you're not taking these points into consideration.
100% agree. When I look at that, or excuse me, the no built-in crowd, you must build it early. I find that that's probably one of the tougher conversations that I talk to founders about, where they're excited to get a campaign going, or maybe there's some contingency of starting a campaign. And as Jason mentioned, I will say this, I've probably said this a few times in the last few weeks, where it's like, hey, I don't recommend everybody, and I heard it this morning, but hey, I don't recommend everybody run an equity crowdfunding campaign. I don't. Like sometimes certain companies, like there may be a question of like, I don't know if this makes sense. But if you're gonna do it, and I tell them this, hey, if you were already live with the campaign, we'd be having a totally different conversation because now there's timelines attributed to it. Now there's an expectation, and like you have to do something. And so it just becomes it becomes a more pressurized situation when you already are live on a campaign. So if I'm doing anything, if you're thinking about doing an equity crowdfunding campaign, I'd look to start marketing maybe a month, starting to look at how do I build audience, maybe a month, 2 months, 3 months out, and then just starting to warm people up as you get closer to test the waters phase and potentially going live. So that's really good though.
And if you're now asking, hey, what does that mean?
Mm,
What do I need to do to really prepare? I have created a system called the 8 point strategy plan and would encourage audiences to build some type of marketing plan. Really, RegCF is a marketing exercise. You could go towards, direct outreach and offline traditional approaches. If you're launching a Reg CF online, you have to look at it as an online marketing campaign. So, starting with the 8 point plan, your roadmap to a successful race. I like to say an algorithmic roadmap. Only way to measure is with numbers. Let's put some metrics in there that need to be hit from each channel, from each tranche of the campaign.
mm,
Analyze your industry and competitors, section 1 and 2 of the strategy. When we work on this, we're always finding new stats around the industry that we could use in the messaging of the marketing campaign itself. The competitors, go on to King's Crowd. King's Crowd shows you the data from every live Reg CF campaign to date, every live and past Reg CF, I should say. We then audit their marketing. So we'll look at how much traffic they get to their primary site, what they're running as advertising on Meta, what they're advertising on Google, how they're ranking, what keywords they're showing up for on search engines,
Yeah.
if they're being promoted in any email newsletters. Financial email newsletters are very common to use on these types of raises. I want to see what they're posting on social, what days and times of the week they're
Yep.
getting the most engagement, what types of content they're getting the strongest response from. I want to define investor personas and marketing channels next, sections 3 and 4. So, audiences, you need to know what your audience does offline, what they do once they pick up their mobile device, when they open their laptop, identify the touch points where you could reach them, start mapping out tactics for each of those channels, each of those mediums, each of those platforms that you can incorporate into the campaign. You get into section 5 and section 6, creative and partnerships. So, a perspective map of potential partners, individuals who are administrators of large pools of your target audience, which you've already defined, and then a messaging sequence to reach out to them. If they promote what you're doing to their listeners, viewers, followers, readers, you could have an excellent traffic source, referral traffic at that likely converts higher. And then the creative content calendar, first month, really throughout the entirety of the campaign, what's going to be posted when and where, headline worthy announcements, as we like to say, something that'll actually show up in the conversion rate and responses from the traffic that you're driving to the offering page and retargeting and following up with. Ads that you're going to be running, everything on the visual and messaging side, and then finally projections and an executive summary,
That's good.
projections and an activation section, impressions, clicks, conversions, not just how much money's raised. You could then attach an average investment, a total transactional value, but you want this trail. So if any channel is underperforming, you could see this is where performance is falling off. That's where we have to optimize. We have to do something there so that
Yeah.
more people get to the next stage. That's how we've been able to do it. That's how we've been able to then pick out key drivers and scale those up.
Man, and that's so good. If I can add to it, Jason,
Yes.
what I seen too, especially when I had initially came to DNA, just transparently, I didn't know the intentionality on like our 8 point plan. And I don't say this not even on like some, hey, I'm a salesperson, but no, I really did not see it because you and I will go through on a Monday call a quick 30-minute spat of, hey, we'll go through SpyFu, we'll look at the socials, we'll start digging and really being able to find information on live campaigns. And so I wanted to tip my hat off to the team because spending, a few weeks at a time really building out this unbelievably like dense, like just a strategy plan. And so I think it's really important because sometimes people ask me, is strategy necessary? And now I truly believe it is because at the end of the day, we could just run advertising. You could definitely just go and do whatever it takes to like start bringing people to the page. But imagine having 5 to 6 different influencers that you could tap into, already having messaging going out to them, already having the creative done, being able to already know some of the audience personas that you're looking to target. Like it just kind of makes it takes the guesswork out of it. And so that's why I'm a proponent of it now. Like I'm a true believer.
So we've built checklists for this in the past. Want to go another layer deeper
Mm,
for the industry analysis, starting with that big picture. I mentioned King's Crowd, and you could actually search by vertical on there. There's an advanced search and a whole column for industry. You could start seeing what the top groups in your space did, what their valuation looks like, their total revenue, uh, their offering type, whether it's equity, preferred, common, safe, convertible note. I like to look at the size of the market, track trends, regulatory tailwinds. Again, we can put that into an advertisement. We can speak to it in the messaging of your content. Could do a whole webinar article around it, long form. Hey, this is why you're in this space. That there's a problem, you have a solution, you're looking to take on more market share. What does that look like? Let's educate the audience. Let's get them excited. Let's get them enrolled the same way that you are, or at least to some degree. You want to identify comparable raises and the investor appetite around it. That tool, King's Crowd, they do a Saturday report on all of the Reg CF campaigns. We look at it on Monday. We create our own analysis of it. They do a monthly report. So October's will come out next week. In November, you could see how things are moving along. I had the opportunity to listen to the CEO, Chris Lustrino, at the Regulated Investment Crowdfunding Summit last week in DC. He pointed out Reg CF's on a trajectory to be its top year to date. Reg CF and Regulation A Plus combined, it's looking to pass the $1 billion mark for funds raised in 2025 and very quickly here. There is no shortage of data that you could apply toward your plans, towards what's occurring in capital raises in your industry. I look at the marketing outside of the capital raise too, because I want to reach investors. Uh, as Sherwood Woody Niece would say, one of the creators of Title III of the Jobs Act, Reg CF. So really starting with that industry analysis. Jazz, I went through some bullets there for the
Yeah, yeah.
competitor marketing audit. Um, what's your take if you're
Mm,
speaking to a founder tomorrow? I know you just hosted a workshop with an accelerator a couple weeks ago, worked with about 10, 15 founders, and they're determining whether they're going on the crowdfunding path or not. What do you tell a founder, a CEO to look at for how these other groups are marketing and what they can
yeah,
incorporate? Because the target audiences they go after, they're going to be seeing these campaigns too.
100%. What I tell founders is, and I don't want to say exactly what you said, but I truly believe King's Crowd is the number one tool in our space, uh, just because of the agnostic data that it has. Like the data does not lie. And so you can literally go on King's Crowd, choose a company in the same niche. You can almost like look at CPG brands. You could look at clean tech or heavy tech. So you can go pull these things up on King's Crowd. And then from there, it's just a matter of digging. So I'll give you guys an example. On our Monday team call, what we'll generally do, we'll look at the top campaigns. We'll then watch a snippet and or like a portion of their video on the campaign page. From there, digging through the socials. Like we want to go check, hey, is this person posting? Well, is the founder forward facing? I know some founders are a bit iffy on that. I think yes, it's company dependent, but I do believe it's strong. So if a founder's forward facing, are they being talked about on Google News? Like Google News for us is like something that we look to point at because, as Jason mentioned earlier, like, hey, who are some partners? Who are some press releases? Who are individuals that are talking about uh, this company? And then from there, like there's also websites like Mailed where you can go see the type of email newsletters that they're doing. You can then go to SpyFu and or Similar Web to look at kind of like the the website traffic of like what these campaigns or what these companies are doing. And just transparently, I think that you don't always have to look at a company that's doing equity crowdfunding marketing. Um, Sometimes you can look at companies who are outside of equity crowdfunding and get marketing, I would say marketing motivation. So you can kind of take bits and pieces of startups that you're seeing. Maybe they aren't equity crowdfunding, but they are customer first, they are audience building in real time. Because that's the same thing we're doing here. Like all we're doing is trying to audience build affinity, you take people from this like no like trust factor. And so these are some of the same points that you guys could be hitting in regards to an equity crowdfunding raise. So those are some of the things that I see that I think are really strong. I don't know if you have any that you could add to it, Jason, but I think, yeah, those just from my experience, that's what I would say.
I think it's a missed opportunity
Yeah.
if a group doesn't do this.
Yeah.
They should really be following on a weekly basis and have an idea of what's moving in the market today.
Yeah.
because regardless of the news cycle, the time of year, there are Reg CF campaigns that are raising every month about five that'll raise $1 million or more
Mm,
just in that calendar month. The top 10, usually 500K or more. Some months it's over a million, some months it's over 700K. The top 10, again, funds raised that month, not total raise. We look at the 10% mark uh, for the month. 130, 230, usually somewhere in there. So the top 10% will raise that much in the month. 50% likely raise under 7,500 for the month. So
mm.
are those 50% tracking this? And success leaves clues. You could see exactly what the top Regulation A plus issuers are doing.
Yeah.
I'm not even talking about Regulation A plus for those amounts. That's just Reg CF. There's Regulation A plus campaigns that'll raise tens of millions in a month at times. There's just almost 600K, excuse me, 600 million raised on Regulation A plus deals this year. There's been a plethora of eight-figure deals. We've worked on multiple over 50, one that was about 20. There's I can tell you more of the eight-figure ones over 12. Some of those
Mm.
raising more. You can see exactly what they're putting on their social channels. You can
Yeah.
see their share price increases as part of their strategy. You can see who's talking about them, what figureheads, even how they're taking quotes from
Mm.
some of the top financial thought leaders
Yes.
and making it seem like they're the ones speaking about the brand, speaking about the investment opportunity. You can look at their webinar publishing schedule, what podcasts they're showing up on, reach out to the same podcasts. You can look to get involved with the same events that they are. Again, they're going after the same investors that you are, even if you're in
Mm.
a different vertical. If you find the ones that are most closely aligned to you, your product, your brand, your mission, your team, you could assume that, okay, they're really going after some of the same prospects. But being able to really visualize what's working, what's bringing investors to their funnel, how they bringing in, tens of thousands, 50, plus thousand investors.
Yeah.
There are things you can incorporate into your campaign.
100%. And you know what I thought was funny too? One of our team members, Abby, especially when I first got here, she mentioned this, but she was telling me, hey, did you sign up? And I believe Jason, you told me as well, but hey, did you sign up for their newsletter? Especially the top dogs in the space. Right? Hey, did you sign up for their newsletter? Once I did, like to talk about Mobile, I get an email from them almost like, I'm like, all right, guys, it's a lot. But I'm saying this is what the top guys do. Like they are making sure that they are being seen and providing value. So I think if you're a founder, and I've seen some founders do this as well now, but hey, you should be signing up to the top campaigns is the top campaigns email newsletter, following them on social, like signing up to be alerted when they have new updates on the campaign. Like all of these things are strong and they just
Hmm.
give you a better look.
And things you could consider incorporating into your campaign.
Yes.
There's plenty of the same figureheads that will talk about your offering or that you could point towards. Plenty of similar tactics, channels that you can use. If they're showing up regularly in a financial email newsletter, maybe explore their pricing, look to test
Mm.
it, look to run it. I find there's a gap when I'm speaking to founders and asking if they know what the top issuers are physically doing on their campaign. Maybe they were told about it from their portal, their broker dealer, few aspects, but the game we play is how are they raising money? How did they
Yeah.
raise $200,000 last week? How did they raise, $2 million last week? The target market profiles, often a step skipped again, but really, really spending extra time in asking yourself who's actually going to invest in this. Investors are more than customers, map their motivations. We build funnels at times where it is the customer base, the client base, the follower base of a brand, even if they're B2B. There are historical investment crowdfunding investors we've been able to collect data around and list out. We run advertising to those audiences. Our database is over 1.8 million at this point. So we run advertising to those investors, but it's not always the top performing Variant, many cases it is. There are detailed targeting options you could put into Meta, similar types of targeting
Yep.
features and other advertising platforms, but I definitely recommend Meta, where you can target based on interest, behavior, demographics, but you have to know what each of those archetypes looks like. So
Mm,
outline demographics, values, investment capacity. It's amazing what you could tell about somebody online. I mean, you could see what they're writing on comment boards on X. You could see what they're fighting for, arguing for, what motivates them. Some of
mm,
the FINRA regulated portals have reviews from investors on the deals, high volumes of them. Again, we do data collection, we look at this stuff. So you could then look at the investor, check them out on LinkedIn, look at them on other social platforms, really start to understand who they are and what motivates them. You want to list 3 traits of your ideal investor. Definitely look at where they are online, where you can reach them. Tailor messaging and channels to each persona. A persona, that's us putting together, a fictional individual that encapsulates the audience. So if you have Chris, and Chris, makes X amount of money, lives in this city, goes onto these websites, follows these pages on social media platforms, you can look to reach Chris, uh, on golf sites,
mm,
travel blogs, foodie sites, not just financial sites. And it's more about who you're reaching than where you're reaching them. I learned in ad tech many years ago. If we could follow the same individual around all these sites, sometimes it's the boring ad placements that perform best. Weather.com, if you will, often shows up on this display banner campaign as a top performer. Uh, do they check the weather? Does it have to do with their physical activities? Uh, all of this shows a better understanding of who your audience is. And what this is saying is not just channels, but messaging. So, is Chris actually going to pay attention to this? Now that we know Chris, is Chris going to care? Is he going to think this is some annoying spam that keeps following him
mm.
around, her around online? It allows you to really have more of a direct conversation and then take that to a mass level by reaching a larger audience. Jazz, you get
Oh,
asked about marketing channels a lot. TikTok, Reddit, YouTube,
yep.
LinkedIn. I know Telegram and Discord, and some of these other channels more common for Web3 campaigns get brought up a lot.
Yep.
What would you say about the marketing mix to include for one of these campaigns?
Um, I think my personal thought, man, I'll tell you, yes, test everything. My personal thought is I'm a big fan of TikTok. Oh my goodness. I am. I think it is one of the most affordable ways to start building an audience. Like it doesn't cost anything. And I believe that it's separate from Instagram because it's not this, hey, I have to be perfect. Hey, I need to make sure my lighting is amazing. You can literally create running gun content, is what I like to call it. Meaning, I pick up my phone, I shoot, I talk about something that's meaningful to me with the understanding that, hey, like other people may be feeling this. And I'm able to then drive or bring people to my page. I think like it's one of the best, maybe top or mid part of the funnel processes that are out there right now. That's just my personal thought. Now, I do believe from there, like taking that content and then being able to distribute it across multiple mediums. But like it is a really strong platform. But I think you should be testing all. Like when we talk about advertising, I think Meta is still number one. And just being able to have content there that when people are coming from ads, they can go look at your Instagram and see, hey, look, these are the things that we've been talking about. So personally, I think in socials, you need to test all and know which you're testing and like what is its primary focus. Like if I'm talking about product, maybe that's best on Instagram. If I'm talking about like more so my founder journey, what I'm building, maybe that's TikTok. right? For every person, it's different, but I think you have to test more than one to really come to a conclusion. Um, Let me ask you this, Jason. This is a because you brought up something cool. How, and maybe this is just me spitballing a bit, but what do you think about using the Discord, Telegram, kind of keeping investors in the loop? Is that possible? Is that a thing? I know you said they do it for like Web3 campaigns. Do you think that's valuable, or can it kind of get into like gray area territory?
I thought I asked the questions here.
Oh, sorry.
No,
Hey.
just kidding. I believe that community, a crowd, is really what creates the momentum around one of these capital raises. They're online. You can see exactly how much is raised on most of them. If not, you can go on King's Crowd and see how much is raised and the valuations, some of the figures that aren't as front and center on the self-published campaigns you could actually see on King's Crowd. And whether it's on, a Telegram type channel, whether it's on Meta, whether it's through email, you want to find where your audience is. So we
Mm,
go through those target audience personas. If they're spending a lot of time on Discord, wow, what a great avenue you have in front of you to build a server, to have enough conversation going there where people are getting organic, actual value and conversing on a daily basis, and then you're able to point to them your deal and what's happening when the time is right. You don't want to come across that you're selling as much as, hey, this is a conversation that they're excited to participate in and
yep.
for extensive amounts of time a day. Could be trickier, but you're doing a competitor marketing audit there to see how these other servers are running and what you should be doing as the administrator, the moderator. You can mix organic. So we put in here email, social, webinars, and then paid ads.
Mm,
The organic I look at as mid funnel. It's people you've brought to your publishing channels, likely from paid advertising, maybe earned media, but from a traffic source. And then you're keeping them in the loop there. You're moving them down the funnel, taking audiences from awareness to consideration to intent to conversion. I actually bought some plastic funnels, like physical funnels. I'm going to be writing on them and rotate it, and there's going to be numbers on there. I talk about this so much. I don't know if the hands do it justice here, but they're something we
Just have
draw
that
on
on
our
his desk.
whiteboards quite a bit because we're creating content for different stages of the funnel.
True.
What emails show up after someone signs up on a landing page? What's that drip system look like? Why are they going to click through from it? What webinars are we inviting them to? What's going to happen in that pitch presentation from the founder to the prospective investors? Are there any guests that are there? Maybe they're inviting their large, engaged, loyal audience follower base. What's showing up on social? Is it meaningful? Does it matter? Does it make people more excited? Are they sharing? Are they screenshotting? How are we measuring it? And then the paid ads to bring it in, because we know on some of these advertising channels, it's $1, $2 per visit. Some of the native advertising channels would be 15 cents, 50 cents per visit.
Jeez.
So how are you driving traffic over there? How are you retargeting with each of these? What does that prospective investor journey look like? We've already learned what the top issuers are doing. We already
Yep.
know who our target audience is. How are we going to use these channels with those findings so that we're creating something as strong, if not stronger, than the competitors that's actually going to get the attention, get the
Hmm.
consideration, get the conversion from these audiences. So, the content types we're going to go over in the creative section, but you start planning teasers, mid-campaign updates, manufactured. Hey, we're going to release this press release. We have this podcast that's coming out in 6 weeks. We already recorded it. We know it's coming out at that point. We're going to be speaking at this conference. We have a big announcement, second week of November. We're moving into the closing, the final push, last chance.
Yep.
Creating that fear of missing out. You want to be able to take the audience through an experience. It's not going to be the first time they visit that offering page that they invest. It's typically 7 to 17 touch points. So, what do those touch points look like? Let's be intentional about what these audiences find when they're searching around and doing their due diligence. So, share your mission on the company as well as personal accounts. You know, Jazz does personal posts here at DNA. When we have founders that give us access or they're posting, from their personal accounts, it goes much further on top of the brand accounts. And make sure you're ramping up the frequency during the close. Run ads once your own has momentum is what many platforms say. Hopefully, you're coming out of the gate with momentum and retarget. It is all in the follow up.
Partnerships. You want me to knock this one out, Jason?
Yeah.
Let's do it. Strategic partnerships. Say it again. Strategic, strategic, strategic. We do not want to go at this alone. I think that is one of the bigger misconceptions of the space. Like, hey, once I turn on ads, I'm good. Or hey, like I'll let the portal do what they maybe said they're gonna do. Like, I'll let the portals they're gonna basically build this campaign out for me. They're looked at as partners, right? And so, in the same way that you have a marketing partner, like there are a lot of partners that you want to start bringing to this at scale. And so, it's really important, right, to partner with people who make sense for the brand, right? So whether that's an influencer like myself, no, I'm just playing. Whether that is an influencer for cross promotion, whether that is like a respected lead investor. I know we get a lot of investor testimonials that do really well. I know when we look at press releases, they are really, really strong. So aligning with local media, vertical publishers, content partners to amplify the story. Um, it matters in regards to, hey, is there an organic push that we can look to add a boost to if we're running advertising, right? Like, so if you're getting picked up by Yahoo Finance, if you're getting picked up by some of these different publishers, how can we utilize that? So when we look up, we see logos by your name. Like I think this, and we see it a lot within campaign pages, but man, when we see logos, it automatically builds credibility. I see a founder is, you know, has a Forbes logo, Inc. 5000 logo. Maybe he was a part of like a Techstars group. Maybe he was a part of these different things that add logos. It immediately makes me think, oh snap, this guy's the real deal, right? And so I think partnerships are big. The last point here is negotiate deliverables, disclosure requirements for each partnership. Make sure the partnership makes sense, right? Like you have to do what makes sense for the company. I'm not telling you guys to uh, go pay Joe Rogan to be on his podcast. If it makes sense, hey, that could do really well. I'll be listening. I know Jason will check it out. Like there are a lot of people who listen to the podcast. And I just imagine what we could do with like advertising, what you could do with advertising that, having that name, face value attributed to what you're building. It's really strong. So I'm pro partner, pro partnerships 100% of the time, if it makes sense. So,
Yeah. And this is how I've seen things grow the quickest. It is hit or miss. I
yeah.
have seen issuers uh, assumptions on what's going to occur after an Instagram post, an
Mm,
email comes out, and you want to make sure there's enough volume that you're diversifying and looking to see what's physically moving. Everything's just a test until it's confirmed with the performance. Then brings us to creative storytelling that converts. Create a simple elevator pitch, 3 to 7 words, under 80 characters, jargon free. This is difficult. It sounds simple. You put simple in the word, but in the sentence, but it's actually a lot of work. We point
mm,
to the 313 method by Ryan Folan, TEDx speaker, quite a bit, where you break what you do down into 3 sentences, much easier. Then you do an exercise to pull it together in one sentence, and then eventually move it into 3 words. But people can remember 3 words:
yeah.
scalable investor acquisition. If I put a fourth word in there, you may feel like you have to start taking notes. Uh, you want your audience to understand what you do and what the investment opportunity is so strong, so strongly that they're not only able to move forward, they're able to pitch you to people in their network.
Yeah.
So select 3 to 8 memorable highlights, traction, team strengths, mission, invest in a professional 1 to 5 minute video. pitch video featuring founders and vision. Make sure you're talking about the investment opportunity, not just what you do. Sounds self-explanatory, but take a look at some of the other videos on some of these offering pages. You'll see why I'm saying it. And design your deck with one takeaway per slide. Use headlines at the main message. Uh, we have different type of educational deck
Mm,
here. Yours is to get audiences to do one thing, and that's invest. So 1 point per slide.
yes.
Finally, as we conclude the strategy aspect of this presentation, financial projections, valuation, numbers that make sense, set a funding goal tied to specific milestones, uh, justify valuation with marketing comps and traction, provide conservative projections with clear assumptions, avoid exaggerated or unverifiable claims. And what I want to point out here is the actual projections of the campaign, where we probably need 50,000 visits per $1.5 million raised, reflecting a 2% conversion rate, 1,000 investments off those 50,000 visits. Google says an average conversion rate is 2.35%. 2% is a good place to be on an investor marketing campaign. King's Crowd said in 2024, $1,500 was the average investment. 2023 was 1,190. It is projected to be a bit higher this year, but look at it conservatively. So where's that traffic coming from? The impressions, the clicks, uh, from any advertisement content piece, the clicks being visits to the offering page. 2% is actually kind of difficult. Uh, Need to have a good follow-up system, and it'll likely round out to that level after the closing spike. But if you're somewhere near there, you're in a good place. But again, need to see where the traffic's falling off. Um, and Want to get to the offering page here for Jazz to take the mic, but the activation timeline, just wrapping up the strategy, map your campaign from start to finish, pre-launch, craft your pitch, your video, highlights, cover image, secure lead investor compliantly, set terms, soft launch, share privately, raise 25% or more of the goal. It's a big ask, but the audience will pay more attention if you have 25% or more of your goal raised. They'll convert at a higher level, or at least 100,000. Early stages of your campaign, personal outreach and email. Hey, this is why I'm doing a regulated investment crowdfund campaign. This is how they work. We need to bring the initial crowd. We're going to be using these marketing promotions to bring more people on top of it. I ask that you could back the campaign at any level, and share, these recommendations with those in your network. Uh, Using a countdown clock around it. Public launch, go live, announce widely with a media kit, cross post, and host a live founder Q&A. Gets into those webinars, recommend those monthly or more, and then the close. After 65% funding, set a closing date, post daily updates, follow up with potential investor, create urgency. This basically takes all of the work that you put into the strategy, and it puts it into a 1 to 2 page format. They say a strategy is more about the planning versus the finished product, meaning it's more about the process. So
Mm.
you're saying, I spent a month on this. I spent, the past few weeks on it, what have you. We usually do it over the course of a month, 2 sections a week. I've done it in 4-hour workshops with founders, leaner version, but at the same time, a better approach, a better method than just going into it dry. And if you are putting together a page, 2 pages saying, hey, this is our industry based on what we found with groups that are, seeing success in the space through these channels. We're going to be targeting these audiences, using these touch points, these mediums with this creative. We're going to accelerate it with these partners. Here are projections. That's what you're looking to have in the activation section. Jazz, how do you build a raise page?
Oh man, building a raise page. Just to take a step back, man, raise pages are one of the more important things that you'll have on this campaign, right? It is what investors will see to say yay or nay on whether or not they're going to invest in you. And so when we look at the race page, I'll go through these bullets and then I'll add my comments to them. But start with a clear headline, 7 words or more. It's no more than 7 words, but that states your main takeaway. Seen some really good ones. Seen some really bad ones in regards to like vagueness, but like as Jason was saying, similar to that 313 method, like how do you create an immediate impact on someone's mind that explains who you are and what you do in no more than 7 words, which I think is really tough. Oh, I think I lost you here, Jason. Uh, Include a brief elevator pitch, 3 to 8 investable highlights. Highlights are extremely important, right? Can we talk about traction? Can we talk about some numbers? Is there anything that we can look to pull at that are strong, especially if you have them? Uh, and kind of just talking about this overarching theme of race papers, or excuse me, I said race papers, race pages. Uh, this is a personal thing, but we have to slow down with an overusage of like AI wording, uh, or at least mask it a bit better, right? So it's not just X, it's Y. It's something that one of our teammates, Mark, has like embedded in my brain. Hey, like this is AI, and he almost pulls it at these 0.02 second like speed. Like he is like a yogi when it comes to it, and so like we want to be aware of that, right? Investors can see that sometimes there are whole raise pages that are written with AI. I think you can use it. It's just a matter of being able to make it look as native as possible with your own words, with the company's messaging behind it. So the elevator pitch is extremely important. Using an engaging video. Video is one. It is the verbal way that you'll be able to communicate um, your deck. And so I think it is important to have a very concise yet profound video, right? So talking about, hey, problem solution, right? Being able to talk about like what you guys have already done, a lot of the things that will be in your pitch deck, like can we have that in video format? Because we're going after accredited and non-accredited audiences, but I don't know about you guys, but my attention span has become shortened due to long pitch decks, long pages. And so if we can have a video that succinctly tells us, hey, this is who we are, what we do, and our goals could be really strong. And also authentic images showing founders, teams, and creatives. Guys, do not cheap out on showing your team. Like, I think that's so much stronger than having stock images if you can, right? I'm not saying that everybody has this ability, but imagine you're saying, hey, man, we have one of the stronger team. We have an amazing, strong team where we're focused on family initiatives and X, Y, and Z. And then as an investor, you show me stock images. It's like, like I want to see it. Like make me a part of your culture, especially if you want me as an investor. And so I think that is extremely strong. The last point is explain the problem, solution, traction team in plain language, frequently asked questions, some of the stuff that I was saying earlier, and required disclosures.
So you have your page built. It's now about the content calendar and what you're actually getting out as the copy, the messaging, the visuals, the campaign rhythm. So you keep the drumbeat going, build a 60-day plan or more. Teasers before launch, weekly updates during the campaign, and a closing push. You want to mix the formats, make sure you're distributing across email, social, webinars, press outreach, looking to get, published, picked up by third parties and having that validation. You allocate budgets across the channels to promote that content further. Even have a call to action button so that you're looking to see performance, looking to see investments from it. Really have to have an understanding of, is this prospecting? Is this mid funnel? Is it mid funnel? Driving people to the lower funnel and actually getting them to invest. Where are the audiences at as part of their investor journey? provide supporters with a media kit, so it's all in one spot for them, copy snippets, graphics, links to amplify the message, and encourage investors to share stories and personal stories.
Mm,
Excuse me, stories and testimonials, why they invested. Here's why this company stands out to me. Here's why I became a shareholder. Allows the audience to project themselves into their narrative. And then warming up your audience before the launch, build the buzz, survey your network to gauge interest and really collect feedback, estimate investment capacity. It'll help for your internal plans. Send out a three-part launch email series, two teaser messages, and a private launch invite if the platform allows for private launch. Really need them to show up during that first chapter.
mm.
You also want to invite people to your community round with mentioning terms, often early bird access, and using feedback to refine your messaging, identify super fans who will evangelize your raise. It is a crowd sale. You need to have enough people
Yeah.
at your event so that as you bring new people in, they know they're in the right place. They're more excited to stick around. They're more excited to invest. Imagine going to a event venue built for 1,000 people, 5,000 people, and there's 20 people there. Feels empty. You may want to leave. Probably not going to buy anything there. You get there and it's half full, it's lively, all types of things going on. You have individuals who are super fans running around evangelizing what you do. Completely different feel, completely different response that you can anticipate. Jazz, what happens on launch day?
Launch day playbook. So launch day is really big, right? It's kind of this opening ceremony of a campaign. Uh, the launch day slash launch week could be really powerful, right? You could see a lot of movement on launch day. I spoke to some of the Kings Crowd team in the past and kind of told me some of the momentum that takes place on launch day. So very important. So what do we want to do? We need that one. We already have our plan in place, but early morning announcement with the campaign link and momentum update, right? Cross post on company and personal channels. Like we cannot be shy about this. There shouldn't be this moment of, hey, we launched, but we want to be a little bit more reserved, X, Y, and Z. No, we need to go. We have to start pushing because there's a timeline attributed to this. Of course, you can get extensions and et cetera, but why not be pro your company? Issue a press release, right? In the strategy, if you guys remember, already have some partners that are lined up. So they're in already having kind of this content calendar built. So can we press the go button on a press release, right? And immediately on launch day and or launch week, now we have third party sources talking about us, right? It's all being able to manufacture momentum. And then launch day, a live webinar. We I'm a fan of webinars, right? I think it's the closest that an investor can get to you without meeting you directly face to face. And so, if you're able to answer questions, cross T's, dot I's, right? We've seen direct investments take place on webinars, and that kind of being the way that groups kickstart their campaign. And so I think that being able to, one, look at this from a proactive standpoint will allow more founders to kind of hit the ground running and go towards future success.
And I get asked a lot, what do I have to do as part of the campaign
Mm,
from founders?
yeah.
So, active versus passive. As an agency, we build schedules that work for the CEOs, the marketing directors, the CMOs that we're engaging with. But I could tell you the most successful raises have the most active founders. Be the chief evangelist, to use the word again. Be visible, answer investor questions, appear on podcasts, host webinars, Q&As, share your story across the channels. I've seen founders stay on for 2.5 hours after a webinar answering questions. I've seen some founders rifle through them within 20 minutes. Boom, boom, boom. Referencing the individuals by name who posted the questions. Lead personal outreach during the soft launch. So one-on-one messages, scheduling calls, keeping the CRM updated, LinkedIn, email, be the face. People want to talk to the captain leading the charge, steering the ship. Rally your team and lead investor to tap their networks. Encourage them to share and recruit. And remember, hands-on founders build trust and consistently outperform passive ones. People reference, Dan from Moan Mobile, Jeremy from Rad Intel, Brad from Avadane,
Yeah.
Charles from Atom Beam, the top campaigns, uh, the founders by name, as if they know them because
Mm,
of how much content they're putting out, because of direct answers, direct communications they've been able to give. So look at the formulas for the deals that have worked to the highest level of performance, the outstanding ones, and make sure you're being a founder that is as good, if not better.
that's really good. Sustaining momentum post launch. Tough part, but we have to keep the energy high, right? So there can't just be, hey, we launched, it did X, whatever that number is. And then we kind of just think the momentum that we saw in week one will continue in month two, month three. Like you have to keep this energy high and you have to be consistent, right? I played sports growing up. You can have a good game, bad game. To talk about the Dodgers, but what I'm saying here is you have to show up in the same way, right? So making sure you are posting weekly, making sure you're keeping founders updated, uh, being able to start running, yes, retargeting ads, having like the emails go out, sharing the testimonials. What takes place on a lot of these is, hey, amazing start point, and then we kind of watch things tailor off because as a founder, you may feel fatigued of, oh man, I have to post again. Like, it didn't work this week, right? But what I've seen campaigns shift the narrative quickly. Maybe there's an investor who's been watching for 2 months who hasn't pulled the trigger yet, but because you guys did a webinar, like I've seen groups see influxes of capital because of these things. And so the whole purpose of this is really just talking more so around consistency. And so if we can be consistent all the way up to the close of the campaign, it makes a difference. So yes, the Q&As, the webinars, the activations, the new perks. I've seen new perks work really well. Stretch goals to a degree can work at times. And then once you reach 65% of the close or of your goal, setting that closing date, ramping up the promotions, getting people in the door, that's kind of the exciting piece. So yes,
Yeah, and we talked about some of these numbers for strong and weak launch.
yeah.
Uh, Lessons from a couple campaigns here. I mentioned secure over a quarter of the raise or 100K or more at least. Optics are important. Having that extra digit really goes a long way. And again, they can see how much you've raised for most of these setups on King's Crowd, even if it's not directly listed on your page. Lead investor adds credibility. Get a testimonial there, clear highlights and simple pitch, professional video, active founder uses media kit and QA events, a week launch going public with zero commitments, no lead investor, no social proof, generic copy, visuals, absent founder, no early outreach or media kit, campaign installed, and expecting to raise millions of dollars, expecting to spend a few $1,000s on advertising perhaps and raise $1 million off of that. You definitely want to be in the strong category. So don't make those mistakes. Also avoid these pitfalls. Don't rely on the platform or broker dealer to attract investors. Build your own list, prepare a soft launch. Anyone they bring is gravy. You should be pleasantly surprised versus counting on them. Don't skip your elevator pitch or highlights. It's important. You get one shot at many of these investors. Avoid jargon and craft a clear story, and don't neglect the lead investor or social proof. Maintain the investor relations. Plan a strong close. Some of these folks show up at the end. Uh, Jazz, key takeaways. Want to fire through this in our last minute here?
Okay. So your next steps: plan early, craft your pitch, highlights, video, secure a lead investor, and then gather those early commitments before you guys go live. Extremely important. From there, being able to build the community, right? So that means personal outreach, right? Being able to validate their interests, right? I think being able to feel a pulse of your internal community would really help. Provide a media kit, post regular updates, treat followers as your early champions. These are the people who are already supporting you and your vision. Why not give them updates as if they were investors? The last part being be an active founder. Please, there is a level of activity that's needed on these campaigns. So that's how you create the momentum and engage investors consistently. And so these are some of the key takeaways that we have here today. Jason, I'm excited, man. I'm glad we were able to get this done. Like this was a good.
Absolutely. And for everyone tuned in, thank you. We're happy to continue the conversation. We're an open book in terms of what's working, what's not working on campaigns, have a lot to be able to reference with you. So feel free
Yeah,
to reach out, send Jazz a message on LinkedIn, connect with me, schedule a free strategy session. Can make it very structured, going through these points of the 8 point plan, seeing what you have mapped out, being able to provide recommendations. So complimentary, we can review your plan, identify
yeah,
gaps, give you tips, things to add to it. If we have an opportunity to work together, great. But either way, we want to be a resource to you, especially after you gave us
100%.
this time on the webinar. So receive a personalized checklist on this to ensure you're ready to launch or have the right pieces if you're already live and getting into those next innings, those next quarters, those next sections of
Yeah.
your campaign. Thank you again for tuning in. We'll see you in November.
All right, guys. Have a great one.